My first guest is Brock University professor for the last 16 years as an associate professor and is the CEO of 2021 Niagara Summer Games. I'm so excited to speak with him today and really honored that he is doing this. So, Barry, welcome to the show. Thanks for doing this once again.
Great to be here, Vince. Looking forward to having a conversation with you.
Awesome. So, first, Barry, how has your transition been since this whole pandemic has occurred?
Well, it's been interesting to say the least. I think there's an ancient curse that's out there. May you live in interesting times, and that's for sure. That's what's going right now. It's interesting times for all of Canada, all of the world. Um, um, it has impacted us on a number of levels, but the key thing for us is we are building towards 2021 when we host Canada here in Niagara for the Canada Summer Games. So we're right heavy into planning phase. And so we've had to shift a little bit more to kind of virtual plans, and it's working out surprisingly well. I think everybody has picked up on working from their home office and working from everybody else's home office at the same time. So it's impacted us there. Of course, we had a number of community events that we've had to cancel. We've had we're still waiting to hear about our summer test events. We were going to host some lacrosse tournaments and softball and the Minto Cup here in Niagara that would get us rebuild our teams, getting our teams ready for the summer games. But all of those are on hold, and so we're doing all the right things. We're doing our social distancing. We've shut our office down, and we're just meeting with everybody just as we're chatting today right now.
Awesome. Barry, as the CEO of the 2021 Niagara Summer Games, what does your job role entail and some of the responsibilities that you have?
Um, Basically, our key thing is to follow our vision, if you will. Our vision is to inspire, to transform, and to unify. So those are the three things that we hold on really near and dear to us as we're moving forward. So from my perspective, when I sat down and worked with our team on that, we looked at the unify, and when that came into it, we really do need to build the team to be able to host these games. So we'll have a small staff component. At games time, we'll be roughly in the 55 range to do that. But we really truly are led by volunteers, and so we need to build our volunteer team. We'll have roughly 300 leadership volunteers that will be helping us out, and then on games time volunteers, upwards of about 4,000 volunteers in any of our 16 venues and all the other type of activities that will be going helping us out to run the game. So that's the first part, is really to unify, so build that team. The second one, then, when it comes into transform, is we need to create the stage. So we're blessed with great facilities in Niagara, but we are looking at enhancing them, developing, and bringing them up to a Canada Games standard. We are also in the process of building Canada Games Park, which is roughly $100 million project that's going to be located just a little south of Brock. It's going to be a fabulous legacy facility for all of Niagara. So that's that transform to make sure we're getting ready. There's some places where we're going to be building some trails, example for our cycling events, and building other things around as well. So that's the transform. And then the last one, when we get into the inspire, for us, we're going to invite the magic to happen. When I get a chance to go and talk into the community and talk to people that are out there about getting excited with the games, I often ask to say, has anybody been involved in a Canada Games before? Because it's been around since 1967, so there's quite a few people that surprisingly, or not surprisingly, have actually been an athlete or volunteer before. And it's really interesting, Vince, because their eyes will glaze over a little bit, they'll go somewhere, and then they'll start talking about their experience. Mm-hmm. And what you find, it is really a magical moment. It's a magical moment for those 5,000 athletes and coaches that will be here, but all the spectators and everybody else will be there. So my other last job, and our collective last job, is really to invite that magic to happen.
Mm-hmm. Barry, I wanted to ask you, what is your philosophy in leadership and strategic planning for the event?
Talking about leadership first, I do teach a leadership class, a fourth-year leadership class within the Goodman School of Business. So I draw upon good research that's out there to do it, and I've really drawn from that and really kind of focus mine. And so there's kind of 5 little key little acronyms and things that we work out in the class, and I really hold them near and dear to myself from a leader. So the first one is to challenge the process. So to make sure when you come in and you see some things, we can do things the way everything's done before. And there's always a lot of best practices that are out there. To also kind of just sit back and say, might we do things a little bit differently? Might we do things a little bit better? So I like that concept of challenging the process a little bit. Second part then is you do need to inspire a shared vision, and that's again, we got to be all on the same page. I'll use a rowing analogy. We all got to be in the boat rowing in the same direction. You got to know where your goal is to be able to be there, and it's very helpful when you have a powerful um, uh, inspirational vision to be able to hang on to. So I think that's really important from that. Uh, and the third one here I really believe in is enable others to act. We want to hire people that are experts, are good at their tasks, or get volunteers involved, and then let's get out of their way. So it's not my job to be overseeing them. Um, I can get involved a little bit from a coaching standpoint and help out there. But the idea is we've got good people in place. Let them go out and do the good work that we know that they need to be. Along the way, sometimes we'll find that we do run into some problems, and so that's my fourth kind of point, and that's where we're encouraging the heart. And so when you have COVID-19 on your doorstep, there can be some really challenging points around that. So then you need to find different ways that you can encourage people to carry on, and vice versa, where people help me to encourage me to kind of keep me carrying on. And so then the last one that I kind of adhere to is it truly is that it's called modeling the way. And that one, you got to make sure that if you're asking somebody else to do something, you got to make sure you're modeling that way as well, because people will be looking at what you're doing. So you can't have your words and your tasks separated. They need to join together, and that's a powerful place to be. So it's get out in front and follow, somewhat like our namesake at Brock University did. So when the general he was charging up the hill with his troops. At the same time, as opposed to many leaders away in the back. And now that maybe that's a bad analogy. Maybe it didn't work out so well with the general on that one. So it's surgite, but it is push on. So yeah, you have to make sure you're modeling the way as well. So those would be my five, if you will, leadership. And from a strategy standpoint, key thing for me is as you're looking at it, there's whole chapters on and lots of research on what strategy is. You want to find a place that you play to your strengths. I guess what strengths do you have? Find that area that your organization or the individuals have that you can play to your strengths, and accentuate that. Often some places say, okay, let's get balanced. Where are we weak at? Let's focus on our weakness. Try to bring that up a little bit. As long as it's not kind of like a career limiting weakness or something a real problem within your organization, you're better to play to your strengths and lead with that. So often when I'm going to work with organizations, we do look at what are our strengths, and then what might those opportunities, where might we be able to grow with those types of things. So there's a little leadership, a little strategy. OBHR 4P96, they're throwing it your way. So there you go,
Vince. Barry, how has COVID-19 impacted the planning process towards the games?
Yeah, so it is difficult. Part of it is it's so unknown, right? And I think I think the world is still struggling with this. We have a sense that it's out there. We have a sense what it does. We know it's not good for our bodies, and with some drastic results for many. And we have no protection to immunization towards it. So it's a high risk, but it's out there. We have got some great leaders in the healthcare world that are helping us navigate this pathway, but it's difficult to plan. In particular, let's say from test events and long range planning, which you might do when you've got this with this in front of you. So I go back to an old mentor of mine, Doug Hargraves. He was a football coach at Queen's University that I was blessed to be able to coach football with him for about 10 years. And Doug had many great wisdom points for us, but one that I think really highlighted for myself and for many of the athletes that came through his program. And that was a person to be able to be successful in these kind of fluid times, a person has to be flexible and have a sense of humor. And I think that's what we really tried to hang on to with the Canada Games is we do need to be flexible. We're not sure exactly where the road ahead is. We are planning heavily deep into planning. All our venue teams are planning. We are anticipating having a great summer of 2021. We're ever hopeful the healthcare group will have these things looked after for us. But we had a real run up to 2021 that we're going to be doing some things. So we're very flexible on where those are. Right now, we're trying to be a little more inflexible. We know what 2021 looks like. We know how we're going to inspire, transform, and unify. So we have that plan. So we're working diligently on that to make sure that we're there. Will we have contingency plans? Sure. I think the Olympics is a great example on that, where their contingency plan happened was timing. I don't think we're going to be in a point where we have to worry about any timing from that standpoint. But we may have. Would there be a venue or two that could be a little different? Are they going to allow large crowds to join in? Will we have smaller numbers of spectators? Will we be doing more visually? Will our webcasting be so much better than any Canada Games has ever been in the past? So all of those types of things, the planning, we know what we need to do, and when we're looking at what's the art of the possibility, and so we're working at being flexible and having a sense of humor.
I like that. Um, Barry, you mentioned that volunteers are essential for the games. What would you tell a student aspiring to be in the sport industry? Why should they look to the games for volunteer opportunity, or just someone that wants to volunteer? Why should they um, want to volunteer for the games?
Yeah. Um, Good question. Lots of great answers on this one. So I'll focus a little bit on the sports management people who like to work in the wonderful world of sport. Here's your opportunity. It's a difficult one to be able to land a gig, and I know when I graduated with my undergrad in physical health education many years back. I think we had about 100 in our graduating class, and three of us were fortunate enough to be able to get a gig in our in right away, and I was one of them. And I had gone out and I'd done a lot of volunteering as a baseball coach and softball and umpiring and then a whole other bunch of sports. And then I took small little jobs where I got involved in running a ski hill and a whole bunch of things you would do. And all of those helped out. I raked ball diamonds and was a playground supervisor. All those kind of things. It helps build your CV. And so I was fortunate to be one of those three that landed a great position. So I'd encourage people to jump in. Helps you with your build your CV. You'll be able to talk about it, and you can talk about how you were able to organize events, how you're involved in these sorts of things. I get it; it's a volunteer, and we do need to put dollars and cents on our table. So that so this would be a plus point. Perhaps you're going out and doing something else, and this is the plus. You got to send a message that you are truly in love with sport, and you're going to be able to do those sorts of things. The second part around that, so it helps the CV. The second part, you're going to learn an unbelievable amount of information. So Brock prides itself at really being out into the community and experiential education. This is what it's all about, right? So I can teach you a lot of things in my classroom, but until you get out there and have a chance to apply it, it's really not going to resonate and really land on you. So here's a great opportunity. You can come out, help us out with venues and marketing. There's a variety of different things, sponsorship, all sorts of stuff that you can come in and develop your skill set on. And the last part there's going to be is you're going to get caught up in this magic, right? The Canada Games are magical. I was out in Red Deer to watch to be actively involved in 2019 to take it in, and just the energy. And you talk to the athletes that are there, and the energy. It's a magical time. It's incredible to be in this multi-sport environment. So it is, and for some, this is their Olympic Games. For others, this is the transition. I think we hear from CGC, our Canada Games Council, that 60% of the Olympic medals were won by Canada Game participants, right? And the only reason the rest of them weren't because we happen every 4 years, so we might have just missed those athletes when they came through. So the competition is going to be spectacular. It's going to be so amazing on the field of play, but even more amazing around the excitement and the parents and the fans. And oh, by the way, we're in Niagara, and we just know how to host amazing things in Niagara, right? We welcome the world to Niagara Falls. 200,000 people come here every day in the summertime. So we're going to transform and transition to some of those into the Canada Games. So this will be the hottest ticket in Canada in 2021, and everybody, if you're a student, you want to be a part of this.
Barry, next couple months I'm graduating from Brock University, but I'm really jealous of the facilities that are being built because they look amazing. Just through researching, looking at the news, they're incredible. And I guess, can you speak to the facilities that are being built?
Yeah, it's a great comment, Vincent. And we're really proud of this. I want to give a big shout out to the board, 2021, um, with the Niagara Canada Games, Summer Games. They've been involved in this process for 4 or 5 years, working and building on this. In particular, our chair, Doug Hamilton, has been actively engaged around our legacy projects. So it's great to be able to have a celebration for 2 weeks in Invite Canada here, and we'll have an amazing 2 weeks while we're here. But it's also then what's the legacy? And there'll be a number of key points on our legacy, but one in particular will be our facilities. And so right now, being built on the southern part of Brock University is Canada Games Park. There'll be a main building in there. There'll be two, if you will, ice pads. So there'll be ice hockey in the wintertime and box lacrosse pads in the summertime. One will have roughly around a 1,200 seat arena, so it'll be good for spectating. Great place to come and watch the Badgers, women's and men's hockey teams play. For sure, it'll be right on campus. It'll be rocking. I can just imagine that it'll be there. But it'll be a great community rinks as well, so we'll welcome people in there. And then there'll be 4 large gymnasiums that will also be built. Part of the legacy there is to work at, if you will, some of our competitive sports. Brock is Canadian champs annually in wrestling, and so this will be a wrestling center to be even more attractive to help out. And many of our Brock wrestlers and Niagara wrestlers have gone on to be Olympic medalists, and so to really heighten awareness in that particular facility. But it'll be also great volleyball, in basketball. There's a variety of things that'll be able to be in there. There'll be an indoor running track up there to help for fitness. And then as well, the Brock Center for Wellness will come up the hill and be in there. And so that's really a place for our seniors in the community to come in and to develop their fitness, and people who have had some injuries to be rehab and do some great things there. Upstairs, we're going to put in a high performance center, and these are for carded athletes. So in the Niagara area, place to train and develop their skill sets and also be tested and things. And so we're very excited to have that join us. And then there will also be opportunities for offices for sports governing bodies to be able to come into Niagara to be able to run their agencies right out of Niagara, which will tie in nicely with the sports management program at Brock. As additionally, on the outside, then we'll have a 400-meter athletics track and field facility that'll definitely be top in the province. This will be a great spot for our athletes to carry on, develop their skill set, and as well there'll be a volleyball six outdoor volleyball courts that we'll be able to play on as well. And we're looking to be able to program those and help our volunteer people as we move forward. So that's going to be a great facility there. Also in the plans is also a center down on Henley Island for our rowing. As you know, rowing is we have a world-class rowing course in Niagara, and this will give us some facilities to go along with that. Plus, and we're not finished there. Then there's a host of other ones. We're going to be upgrading ball diamonds, creating other activity places around Niagara, almost every sport. So we'll be doing some things for rugby and swimming and diving and cycling. So there's something smaller in each and every one along that line. So I think our total budget that we're looking at is in around $110 million in capital costs expenditures here in Niagara. So that is well above and beyond any other program as any other Canada Games has done before. So it'll be a great legacy.
Yeah, just hearing with everything that you've talked about so far, Barry, it's amazing to me what the games are doing in relation to Brock, and talk about a hotspot for athletes moving forward past the games. This is a great opportunity for them to come to Brock to have these great facilities in place. So that's really incredible. Um, Barry, I wanted to ask you on a lighter note and kind of conclude this interview. What are some of your most memorable experiences in sport?
Ah, okay. Well, anybody who knows me of late will know that one of them that I would highlight. So, way back in 1972, there was a team from Canada. The first time we'd ever had our NHL hockey players had a chance to play against the Russians. And so I was a young lad at the time, but everybody who was alive in Canada at that point remembers watching those 8-game series, and in particular, in Game 8 when the score is tied 5-5, and everybody will vividly remember where they were when Paul Henderson scored for Canada with 34 seconds left. So I was fortunate enough to through through our Brock, our one of our alumnus is Dennis Hull, and Dennis was on that team, and they were looking for some help to be able to guide them along the way. And so I got invited to work with the team, and so I have for the past number of years. So we were fortunate to bring the team into Niagara for a dinner, and we had 350 people there, and they joined together in an organization, and it's around their legacy committee to be able to get their story out. And their punchline on it is everybody fondly remembers that final goal, but it's not that goal that's their true legacy. Their legacy is there were overall in those 8 hockey games 28,800 seconds, and every one of those seconds was important right up to the final, if you will, 34 and into the finishing point. And without what's little known about that is they came together as a group that when they first started, they were come from 10 different hockey clubs, and they didn't really like each other, right? And over that space of 8 games, and if you will, the month of September, they were able to transition, and they were recognized as Canada's team of the century. And so their real legacy is how they came together as a team. And so that memorable moment in hockey, I've been now involved with to be able to draw with them to be able to help share that legacy. And so we're doing that. We've got Niagara Catholic District School Board involved, and the idea is to how does a bunch of school kids come together in September, and how do we make them into a team so that they're there to help each other out? So that's the 28-8 project. So that's a powerful moment in time for sports history for me, and it's still impacting me today. Lots of other ones, though. I can remember being at the Commonwealth Games and watching how competition brings the best out of us, but so does cooperation, and how coaches would be working with athletes from different countries that perhaps weren't as didn't have as much blessings as we had in Canada, and they were helping them out. And so gymnastics, team people giving other people things along that lines, and that's the beauty of sport. When we really bring people together, we can compete and we can raise each other up from that standpoint, but we also lend a hand out and help people up. And so I think those are kind of key points for me. And then I think just a whole bunch of personal times where you work hard, you get out, you work hard, and it's you have that magical games where you go out and play really hard, and win or lose, it doesn't matter. You put your sweat equity into it, and you had that moment, and at the end of the game, you gave your best, and that's a powerful point. Just as you're having me talking about it, there's a great little article came out about our frontline healthcare workers right now, and how many of them, how sport influenced them into doing their job. And so it was a great little article. I think I tweeted it out, retweeted it out, somebody else's. But that was the point, was it was the playing fields, if you will, that our nurses and our physicians, that they'd learned to do these kind of things, to work as a team, be cooperative, put that extra effort in, persevere, because bloody hell, right now we need to persevere on a bunch of things. So yeah, so all of those kind of things. So those are kind of those wonderful lessons of sport. Why I'm so happy to be back involved in it.
Barry, this has just been an honor. Thank you for doing this. Great talking to you, hearing your insight about the games and your experiences. And I'm not graduated yet, but one of the highlights is to be able to do this. So thank you.
My pleasure, Vince, and good luck on your rest of your journey, and hopefully we'll have you involved in 2021 somewhere.
Thank you, Barry.
Great. Thanks very much, Vince.